Hi guys, Bunny here again, and today I'll be bringing you my top 10 cards from the Forged in the Barrens expansion. We've done the full card review, and now it's time for me to decide which are the top 10 cards that I think will see great play in the upcoming expansion. Feel free to hold me accountable to how wrong I have been when making this prediction or when giving you my rating here. We'll start out with a little bit of a more honorable mention, and that card is Mankrik. I think the card is pretty cool. At number 10, I had trouble really pinpointing a card because there's just so many different cards that are good, but that don't quite seem to measure up with the highest power level cards in the expansion. And I think Mandrake is a pretty cool card. We'll see how toxic drawing the card will be, how drawing Mandrake's wife, which decks can utilize it, and how the randomness will affect the game, but it's more of an honorable mention. At number 9, I have Xyrella. It's a 4 mana 4/4 priest card, battle cry. If you restore health this turn, deal that much damage to all enemy minions. That card seems like it could eat aggro decks for breakfast. It's really strong with the new priest card that has been revealed. For 0 mana, you get to restore 5 health to both heroes. So if you're playing against an aggro deck and you're damaged, you play this on turn 4 together and you heal for 5 and you wipe your opponent's board. So that's amazing. But we should also notice that this doesn't only affect our own hero that has been healed, but it's general health that has been restored. So we can also use it on one of our own minions with cards like Palm Reading that reduces all cards and Renew. You get to set a very cheap combination of cards that can lead to massive AoE with this card. So I think this is a really strong card from the new set. Next up, I put Blade Master Zamora. We've already seen in the reveal stream how powerful this card can be, especially together in combinations with Hand of Adal from Paladin or Apotheosis from Priest. Especially, you can wipe a whole board and heal yourself back up to full. So these two cards in Priest seem like they're very good anti mid-range and also anti-aggressive tools. And I think we'll see quite a bit of Blade Master Zamora in the upcoming expansion. Next up, I have Primordial Protector. This 8 mana 6/6 elemental draws you the highest cost spells and then summons a random minion with the same cost. This is a card I see mostly being played in Druid because they can ramp really fast and then they can draw Survival of the Fittest or Guardian Animals and summon an 8 or a 10 drop. And the pool for 8 and 10 drops in this current expansion after the rotation is really, really strong. So we're going to be seeing this card pull some really, really powerful minions. And if this gets put out by Druid, let's say on turn 5, it even draws you a card in the end. It might draw you an important piece for you to stabilize. Druid also has the ability not only to get Guardian Animals, but also, for example, get itself some armor with other 8 mana spells. So I think this card is pretty effective and might see some good play. It could also see play in Paladin. Not quite sure if Paladin can afford to play a card like this, if it's not a little bit too greedy for them, but I think it's a pretty cool card overall. I think it has a very high power level. Might not be played more than the Blade Master that I mentioned previously, but I think it's very, very strong. Next up, we have Cariel Romaine, Rome. It's a 4 mana 4/3 Rush Divine Shield. Whenever this attacks, reduce the cost of holy spells in your hand by 1. Here, it's important to know that all Paladin spells, or nearly all Paladin spells, are actually holy spells, especially all Libram spells. And already at the 4 mana 4/3 Rush Divine Shield, you have a very powerful body in effect with the Divine Shield and the Rush. It often survives killing a minion that is played on turn 3 or 4. It kills most 3 drops in the game very efficiently, stays on the board, and it remains a threat while it is on board for every time it can attack. And on top of that, it also does something. It gives you a reduction for cards in your hand that you could play immediately, even with like a lot of secrets being 1 mana, they can be reduced. And then this card can be immediately protected. So I think this is a super powerful card. And I think this card will definitely see play. I was wondering about rating it maybe not a little bit higher in this review, but I think there's also some really cool other cards that might be more flashy. This might be better than some cards I have higher up in the top 10, but it's not one of the super flashy ones. Next up, I think it's the Whirling Combatant. It's a 4 mana 2/6 warrior card that has Battlecry and Frenzy, deal 1 damage to all other minions. And I think this is almost an archetype enabling card because it's incredibly hard to remove for any aggressive or mid-range opponent's deck in one swing. And I think it will help you soften up the board of your opponent for stuff like Blood Boil Brood. I think it will be extremely powerful in enabling the entire warrior game plan. So this is why I rated this card so high, because I think warrior is still a decent class, and I think this is the key card that makes warrior playable in the next expansion. And I want to not only award having powerful effects, but also being able to push an archetype and being able to put all the pieces in the rest of the class together. And I think this card does exactly that. Lots of effects where being able to deal 1 damage to other minions is important in warrior currently. All the frenzy cards, and then like I said, Blood Boil Brood are definitely important. Next up, I have Efficient Octobot. It's a 2 mana 1/4 frenzy, reduce the cost of cards in your hand by 1. The reason I rated this card so high is because we know how insane Emperor Taurus effects can be. This card is obviously not that great when it gets drawn later, because it gets very efficiently traded into, or it can be removed. But as soon as it gets dropped on turn 2, I think it can have very powerful ramp effects, because not a lot of deck have the ability to deal 4 damage in one go. So I think this is a very key card for Rogue, being able to cheat out important pieces like potentially Gadgetzan Auctioneer or Potion of Illusion combination of cards. Anything Rogue will have to generate a lot of value. This card is really cool. This card, I think, helps the entire Rogue archetypes, all of them. It will be played in, and Rogue has a really cool and strong core set. So I think this card will definitely see play. Next up, I have Refreshing Springwater. Draw 2 cards, refresh 2 mana crystals for each spell drawn. So if you draw 2 spells, this is basically Pot of Greed. The difference, of course, to Pot of Greed, which would be draw 2 cards, is that you cannot play it on turn 1. You can only play it on turn 4 forward. It's very similar in a lot of ways to Cutting Class, I think. It can't be completely reduced to 0 all the time as efficiently, but it works incredibly well together with other cards that we have in Mage already that rely on the only running spells in your deck. And if you've reduced the cost of this card, for example, with Encantus Flow, this will cost 3 mana, and effectively it can draw you 2 cards and ramp you for a mana in a deck that plays only spells. I'm not 100% sure the spell-only decks are going to work out now that they're losing Reno, but they're still going to have Cthulhu, and they're still going to have some other powerful tools at 5 mana, the Blast that summons a 5-drop, or at 1 mana, being able to give you 3 random minions to your hand. They have some very powerful effects, and I'm not sure how much this card will see play because of how dependent it is on the other cards in the archetype, and spell only mage being historically a rather mediocre deck. But this is the card that could enable the archetype. This deck was always missing card draw, and this is the card that pushes it to the point where it could be playable. And I want to rate this card so high because even if it might not see play because the archetype isn't great, the only reason why this archetype could even be playable is this specific card. So I like it quite a lot. Next up, we have Celestial Alignment. The reason, again, I feel like I'm so high in the ratings already. I have to justify why all of these cards are so high. This is at number 2. The card looks super flashy. Set each player's mana crystal to 0. Set the cost of cards in all hands in deck to 1. Obviously amazing with Malygos and Nourish. We've seen it in the pre-reveal streams that this stuff can be super amazing and super fun to play and support some amazing combos. Also, it breaks decks like OTK Demon Hunter that rely on having a lot of mana by just being reset time and time again. It's sometimes a little bit counterintuitive because you want to ramp as Druid if you want to play expensive card like this, and then you want to unramp yourself. But together with Nourish, where you gain the mana crystals immediately, this can really push you ahead, and I think it makes for some really fun archetypes. We'll see if I think this is fun at the end of the expansion, but it's definitely a super interesting card. So that's why I put it at number 2. And at number 1, I put Sport of the Fallen. It's a 2 mana 1/3 paladin weapon that says after your hero attacks, cast a secret from your deck. And the reason why I've rated this the number 1 card in the set is number 1, paladin secrets are very strong. We have Oh My Yok, which is not quite a counter spell, but it's very, very powerful. You're going to have Avenge back, which we know from previous expansion is a really powerful card. And we're getting some new secrets as well, where if an opponent deals 3 damage with a minion, that minion gets destroyed, or if you place more than 3 cards in a turn, you get a 3/4 with taunt. These are not quite as good as Oh My Yok and Avenge, I think, but we know what kind of secrets you were able to play with Mysterious Challenger. And Mysterious Challenger was crazy good. Of course, Secret Paladin wasn't just good because of Mysterious Challenger, right? It was good because it had everything. It had a really good curve, it had Muster for Battle, it had a lot of support cards, but I think we've seen from Ankar how good tutor weapons are. I think the Paladin secrets are there to support it, and I think it's just great card draw, great value, amazing card overall. My number 1 card of the set. Thank you guys for watching. On this video today, I'll be doing a giveaway as well of one of the mega bundles that Blizzard has very kindly provided to me. So leave a comment under the video. What is your number 1 card in the set? And I'll be drawing the winner from all the comment sections below. The only thing is you have to comment on this video and you have to be subscribed to my channel, and I'll be awarding one of the mega bundles, and I'll be doing it today. The video is going live on the 25th and I'll be awarding the bundle today. So be sure to leave your comment ASAP, subscribe, and I'll be notifying you later in the day already to try and see if you won the mega bundle that's been provided to me by Blizzard. Thank you one more time for that. I hope you enjoyed this little review, this little rating. You can also check out the entire review. It's 5 hours long, but I thought I'd boil it down to what I think are the most powerful cards in the set as well, since it's a little bit easier to digest than a 5-hour video. Thank you, and as always, have a good day.